Hey team, my microphone working? Great. Hey, we're going to work on some more Spelljammer combat and exploration artwork for this book that we've been creating. Give me a moment here to check my signal. I'll go through my intro spiel and then we'll get to work. So, let's see. Check. Mic check 1 2 1 2 3. Let's go. Let's see. Check. Mic check 1 2 3. Let's go. Sounds good. All right, cool. Let me set this up, get my intro spiel going. Okay, cool. So, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing game supplements that I publish online. I've been focusing all my attention in the past few years on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And here we're looking at the expansion supplement of Spelljammer's Adventures in Space as our center of attention for this product. If you want to see other works that I've produced, there's links down below to a slew of different books that I've already created that are published on the DMsGuild. There's currently a 40% sale right now, so they're outrageously cheap. Definitely worth your time picking up and checking out. So if you want to get notifications when I'm live in the future, I just posted that I'm live on Twitter at Phil Kearney, which is also down below. And otherwise, there's a Patreon where you can support me, and of course, like, subscribe, bell icon to support the channel. There you go. So we created this book cover around episode. Well, hold on, where are we at? We're at episode 181, and we created this cover around episode 15 of the stream. We're gonna work on it. We need to add an air bubble to it as the language around the art that we're doing for this book continues to advance. We've developed this air bubble kind of motif that needs to be represented here. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with the cover. I need to work on the tentacles a little bit. I think I can do a little bit better there, but I'm still happy with the cover, mostly when I look at it. At this point, I would normally be pretty pissed off about an illustration if I didn't really think I did an okay job with it. But this one I did, so we're cool. But hey, we finished the spellcasting artwork yesterday, so you can check episode I want to say like episode 160 through 181, episode 160 through 180 for the spellcasting art that we had produced. Now we're working on the equipment and ship section. So we've got page 4 and page 6 and page 8 that we need to do artwork for, and I need to fix the positioning here. But there's not a lot of artwork that we have to do for this chapter. So the tradition here is that I just start kind of doodling and we see what happens. I had actually approached the equipment and ships chapter back, I want to say around episode 100. But I think the aesthetics of this thing has evolved enough that I want to come back and look at it with fresh eyes. So this is just kind of an exploratory space right now. I'm going to drop into black and white and drop down to, we're at a 3 pixel brush. That's a pretty good space. So we're looking at helms on this page. There's 2 types of helm, major and minor helms. I've discussed this a lot in the past 180 episodes. That major helms are what you expect out of the DMG, while minor helms are incredibly inexpensive in comparison, only 500 gold versus the 5,000 gold. Fighter craft and landing ships are 50 feet and smaller, while while major helms can handle anything up to 500 feet. So you can get really inexpensive small ships, small craft that are good for flying back and forth between ships like fighter craft, or doing little fun runs like planet hopping, because they can do 1,000,000 miles per day as opposed to 100 million miles per day. So, and they can go up to 100 miles per 0020 round. What the hell is going on with that Frenchy language? Let's go up here and where'd that typo come in from? Per round. Save. Goofball stuff. All right, so anyway, we fixed that. So now we can come back in here, and I have to keep doing these things over and over again because I keep finding instances of me apparently messing with the text. Which is another fun reason to do this, because it lets me spot check things over and over and over again as I'm looking at the art to make sure that I like how it sounds, or I didn't accidentally hit a bunch of numbers when I was falling asleep at the keyboard or something. I swear, Adam Hancock did a great job editing this. I came back through, and during all the moving around, like, I just handed it to him as just like a giant bulk, just a giant column of text that he goes through and he fixes. It's during this layout process where I have to move words around and make things fit into the spaces that are available, which is where these flaws come up. But again, we keep chewing on them to fix them, and it is, after all, a PDF. So, but anyway, so you have to Spelljamming Helms. We introduced the concept here of replacing attunement with focus. Focus is a low intensity type of concentration. It's non-concentration. It's basically just paying attention for a long period of time instead of actually focusing. So like a barbarian, while they're raging, can maintain focus. You can maintain focus while you're also concentrating on a spell or an effect. You can maintain focus on multiple items, but you can lose focus exactly the same way as you can lose concentration. And when you lose concentration, you automatically lose focus. If you lose focus, you automatically lose concentration. So it's kind of a cheating in, a quasi mechanic that allows you to do fun, and you can gain focus and attunement. You don't have to attune to a helm or an orrery or any of this gear. You basically, when you're focusing on it, you're gaining a temporary attunement, and you're gaining temporary concentration on these items. It lets you do fun stuff like jump aboard a ship, sit in the chair, and immediately start to go using a single action instead of an hour to attune and become focused on to concentrate on these things, which is not a fun, dynamic, like Western, like Cowboys, Indians, Western type of Indiana Jones, Star Wars field of things. You should be able to just jump on something and then take off with it so that you can start a chase or to engage creatures that are at a mega scale. It's just a more liquid, fluid system that's just, like I said, run and gun style. So they don't have a lot of language in 5e for how to interact with magic items. So attunement and concentration is just not really having to think about it. But not having thought about it, there's not much depth that's there for Spelljammer. So it comes off as just lazy and shorthanded, and like we didn't know what else to do, so there you did. But I would think that if they had the opportunity to really invest in a specific spaceship mechanic, sort of like we're making something for three-dimensional space combat, this is something that you would do. I would hope that they would come up with something similar to this. So anyway, like it or hate it, you can use it or not. It's just there so that you could just jump in a fighter craft and fly off to shoot at stuff in space without having to spend an hour of pre-launch sitting there to end up getting attuned to it. So anyway, so use it as you wish. So having said that, let's see if we can do something fun and dynamic today. That's the text layer, which I absolutely do not want to manipulate. Let's go back to hours. Yeah, okay. So let's play a little bit. We know what we can do now. We know that we can build ships without any difficulty. Well, some patience, but not difficulty. So I'm proud of that. So let's see, what could we do? I'm gonna let the muse take the helm on this one. Oh, that looks fun. Oh, hell yes. Shoulder, arm, hand. Yeah, I'm into that. It doesn't have to necessarily be a seat. Oh, hey, Nitro. Man, it's nice to see you in the morning, dude. How are you? I'm having a good day, man. I have these oscillating bouts of doubt and confidence, being overwhelmed and feeling okay, wondering when is a project ever going to fucking be done, and being okay for the long haul of it. And I keep oscillating back and forth in this terror field of imposter syndrome versus confidence. And today I feel confident. I spend most of my imposter syndrome time off screen if possible, so I can bring quality entertainment to the masses. But just completely legit, it's I'm feeling like I can see an end to this project, and I'm happy with where it's going. So I'm having a really great morning. This is all coming off of a really shitty night of sleep. So I'm partially. Thank you. I gotta set a timer. It's already 6:30. I'm here in Seattle. It's 6:30 in the morning. I do 100-ish minutes of art in the morning before my day job starts, and then I come home and I do more artwork. And depending on the day of the week, I'll either stream that, like the Eberron cartography on Mondays and Thursday nights. But otherwise, I'm pretty much grinding every day, and I only do so much a day to mostly keep my sanity. But I'm happy. I'm in a really good space today, man. I owe you a ritual description, but when we last spoke, I was basically saying it's pretty trite on purpose. If you need more detail than I've given you already, man, let me know. Just drop me a hey in Discord, and I'll try to provide something a little bit more cohesive. But right now we are working on helms, and as always, these things are always all this stuff is going to be part of the preview once it's published on DMsGuild. But folks with a high HDMI have a chance to check out what this text is and see how it looks. We're going to go through the entire book once it goes live. I like the focus. I think is one of my favorite mechanics, because focus feels like if I were to make my own 5e or variant game, focus versus concentration would, I think, be a worthwhile addition, in that it lets you maintain I'd say that focus is kind of like how I treat concentration already with spellcasting. In the link down below in the color mana spell point variant rules, there's alternate concentration mechanics that increase the difficulty of maintaining concentration, but the upside of it is allowing you to maintain focus or concentration on multiple spells or effects at the same time. But as you do so, the static DC increases with the number of levels or ranks worth of spell that you're maintaining at once. Like a base DC 10 for a cantrip, but like if you want to maintain 3 levels worth of effects, whether it's one spell or multiple spells, it would be 13. And that goes for you still have that half the amount of damage equals the DC for concentration on stuff. That we retain that, but as a passive DC, it continues to upscale and increase the DC as you add on more and more mana to what you're trying to maintain. And it applies not only to damage taken, but anytime you have to make any saving throw, the result of your saving throw becomes the result of your concentration check. So if you have really shitty intelligence saving throws and you're forced to make an intelligence saving throw, then you've got 6 mana stacked up because you're a high level character, you better head a DC 16 on that intelligence saving throw. Otherwise, all that mana is going to get dumped and you're going to lose your effect. So it becomes a lot more hostile to casters that want to maintain high level effects. But the way that spell points works is that you're allowed to spam, you can spam high level stuff real easily. So you can afford to have your concentration screwed because you have a generous budget. It's like, I only got 3 spell slots of 5th level. There goes my 5th level spells. It's like, no, just tear off another 5 points of mana and fire it up again. So you eat through character resources much more quickly and using that approach to it. And characters have to be a lot more cautious about situations that they dive into, because they can't just muscle their way through it, especially if they're dependent on spell effects and items and things at higher levels. So that's just a thing that I myself have used at my house, at my own home table for the past 5 years now, since being involved in 5e. So it's something I'm pretty confident in. But focus has that same sort of. It doesn't have those specific mechanical rules. It's just that when I'm thinking about focus and concentration, that's the perspective that I'm coming from. Not that I'm totally exhausted, so I don't think that actually had to do anything with anything. I think I'm just kind of rambling about my philosophies in game design in general right now. So it's inevitable that I'm going to end up leaving 5e. I have no idea what 1D&D is going to do. I'm starting to think about looking at Dungeon Crawl Classics as a potential D20 variant for me to design for in the future after this is done. We have the mass combat command system that I want to publish, and we have the Guilds and Kingdom system that I want to publish. So I'm thinking about where am I going to end up publishing these things? Am I going to just do it myself, or Is DMsGuild still going to remain a friendly place to be? Because it's been feeling actually pretty hostile towards creators that don't want to just take shortcuts with AI, regardless of One Bookshelf attempting to place guardrails around AI created content. They don't have a problem with AI art, and you kind of have to prove that somebody used AI text for them to pull it down, and no one's got time to police. OBS doesn't even have time to police OBS. So I mean, like, why would anyone want to do that for free unless they just hate a particular publisher that's abusing AI content to spam stuff? I mean, that alone, they may have creators out there, but now you're creating a gatekeeping sort of environment where if you're not in the it crowd of people that are creating legitimate, you know, paying artists and actually hammering out the time, they're maybe it's right that they're gatekeeping that stuff, but it's creating a hostile environment in general. And I don't know how that plays out long term, you know? Life was a lot simpler before the computers came. I started building books in the first place because I couldn't get paid when I wanted to get paid because of overseas markets where they have a quarter of the income that I have. You know, they can get by on $1,200, like, yeah, $1,200 a month. Like Brazil, for instance, has an incredibly cheap, at least, you know, 8 years ago, Brazil had an incredibly cheap economy where they had the same ability to be able to upload files online like I do, but they didn't have the overhead cost of living in fucking Seattle. People with disabilities like me kind of need a mass transit system to be able to get around without having to pay $100 to Uber for freaking everything. So I feel kind of trapped in a metropolis environment, even though moving to a much less expensive environment would certainly make it easier for me to go full time. It's just I have my own rules that I have to follow to be able to be a human being in society, and one of those rules is I have to be in a heavily urbanized environment to be able to get around well. I used to live in Arizona, and before that Missouri, and these were both before the time of Uber, and but cabs were expensive, man, and Uber is more expensive than cabs. So I mean, what are you gonna do, right? But AI is a thing. It's here. It's not going to go anywhere. And I don't begrudge people that don't know, you know, that haven't invested 20,000 hours in becoming an artist so that they can provide their own art. It's a very high level of entry into the third-party RPG market, as ridiculous as that sounds, because it doesn't pay well. It's really just people that are just compelled to produce because they love producing. They're artists, whether they're writing or cartography or page layouts or writing, you know, artwork, whatever. We're idiots, but we're in love with the craft. So we're also kind of just stuck here trying to figure shit out. It's a weird world. More so than ever, I'm glad that I haven't staked my life on it. Because I don't know what the right solution is. I don't know where things are going. And this guy's head is this like crazy wonky doodle. So that's how it's going. In a nutshell. That's the kind of stuff that I try not to think about while I'm painting. Success. So what kind of a guy do we want this to be? Do we want him to be... I kind of want him to be an illithid, but it's like one of the very first pages of the document that feels kind of alienating. I mean, not to be too literal, illithid are very much aliens. What happens if I tall this up a touch? Yeah. Maybe more of a paladin. I could do an orcish paladin, or it could be a barbarian, like an orcish pirate, to lean into the idea that orcish barbarian, to lean into the idea that you can rage while you're doing this. Text. Give him a big grin with a wild look in his eyes. He wants to... Let's see if I can pull that off. Don't judge me if I get it wrong. We'll pick at it until the face feels right. That feels very, very wrong right now, but we're working on space clowns. I think we could do better than that. I'm liking the structure of it overall, though. It feels good. Grumsh would be pleased. Oh, this is turning out fucking great. Great suggestion, Nitro. Fucking great suggestion. Your flavor is always on point, dude. I don't know if orcs are supposed to have pointy ears, but my orcs always have pointy ears. I see text. Keep in mind, because with the orbs they're holding the shape of the chair, it's sort of evocative of tilting to. Yes, exactly. It made me think. Yes. Actually, I can lean into that, like literally leaning into that. We'll get more aggressive. We can be more aggressive in the pose. It's a little too passive with him sitting like that. We'll make it more aggressive. I'm starting to lose the angle there. I need to keep that. Tap that. Grab a sip of coffee while we're here. Mohawk is 100% on fucking flavor, man. That is absolutely the right decision. Put a tattoo on his skull later. TBD. A big old TBD tattoo on the side of your head. I took it literally. Stupid Gabo tattoo artist got killed. Catchphrase. Insert here. To be determined. That's feeling about on point. Okay, now I'm gonna create a new layer so I don't fuck that up. I'm gonna be a little bit more. More aggressive in that stance. More aggressive. More aggressive. Dude. Focus on the chair here a bit. Like a bike. Kind of loving that. Kind of loving that. It's a big old monkey bars. That's awesome. Like have high rise, like it could be like this instead. Just gonna start blocking his face, which I don't necessarily like, but God, that's such a much more aggressive pose. Oh God, this is fun. Knee like that. This pose may or may not work out, but it's fun to explore it while we're here. I like coming out of the gate though with something super aggressive and physical to really help distinguish it from being a passive. Like piloting is, well, you've played tested this stuff. This thing is anything but passive. I'm really kind of digging on that. I think you were in some of these playtests, right? I know that you playtested the Eberron adventure. Maximum effort. All right, well, I mean, now that we're messing around, I want to kind of play with more poses. A flying toilet. very much a giant toilet. Because this guy's the shit. It's much less, it's more structurally informative, but it feels so much less aggressive. We shan't be finishing this one in one sitting. Pardon the pun. Oh, sitting. We're all sitting. Also, don't. Oh, it's perfect timing. What time is it? 7 o'clock. So we still got almost an hour. We got about 40 minutes. We got 2 more of those to go. Now I'm thinking like, okay, so the vessels are big. They're bigger than 50 feet. They're the vessels. And I'm thinking like a vessel would have a more relaxed captain's chair that they can sit back and just chillax for an 8-hour shift or whatever. While the fighter craft feel more like motorcycles to me. Like has like this more intense handlebar vibe to it. I wish there was some way to justify shooting fire out the back. But yeah, so like the small craft, they're 50 feet or smaller, so they're like just for reference sake, a TIE fighter is about 35 feet in size, while an X-Wing is 45 feet. So both of the most iconic fighter spaceships in all of media history are 50 feet or smaller. So when we're thinking about like what is a fighter craft using a minor helm like, it's like a TIE fighter that doesn't have its own hyperspace drive on it because it's too small of a ship. Meanwhile, a major helm is anything bigger than that. We can eventually get into Star Destroyer's territory of being a few miles long. We have the mechanics to be able to do that if you want to get into super massive scale ships. But those type of, I mean, even like the Millennium Falcon is less than 500 feet in scale. So that would fit within the normal Spelljammer helm parameters. And that is very much a lean back, long haul freight carrier. I mean, it's literally a freight ship. So it's much more of a sit back in the helm and just chillax, as opposed to as opposed to like a TIE fighter and a star and like a snow speeder and an A-wing. They're much more like race cars. So I'm trying to figure out where do I want to sit in that space, because the fighter craft are very much more likely to have a weapon system right at the helm. So you're both focusing on your on the helm as well as operating a weapon using attacks per round, right? So you've got that. I don't want their hands to be locked up holding orbs all the time, although the aesthetic of them doing that is super cool. And like in a vessel as a pilot's chair, just kind of like just hanging out, like just kind of like hanging out with your hand on the stick, you know, like at a vessel's, like on a vessel, as opposed to being in a fighter craft where you're more aggressively just like maneuvering with it. But they both have that dynamic punchiness to it. I'm not sure. God, I almost wish I had like more space on the page to do cool shit. I could theoretically do smaller figures so I could fit 2 characters in the space, but then that feels really crowded. I just don't have Yeah, the handlebars approach that I think we're going here. I think that's the wrong aesthetic. I think let's try it again. This time we can go for a wider grip. I like this lean back sort of approach to the chair regardless. I think that creates space and helps energize the character leaning forward. I think that's good. And having the orbs mounted on the armrests that, because like if he was leaning back here, it'd be like super casual just to have the hands on the helm. So I think I'm happy with that. Thinking of my grandpa's old smoking chair. He trained World War II Marines Jiu-Jitsu. And so he when I was growing up, I had a shitload of cousins. We had a big family, big Catholic family. But he'd sit back with a smoking pipe, and he'd smoke cherry tobacco. I remember that smell so clearly. The whole house just smelled of rich tobacco all the time. It was amazing. I loved it. Lots of thick, heavy oak, shag carpet, dark floors, lots of stone in his home. This is in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. But he would sit back in his smoking chair with a pipe in his mouth. And whenever one of us brats would start to annoy him, he'd be like, "Come here," and then he'd grab our wrists and like he'd put us in a wrist lock and throw us to the floor, or he'd grab a pressure point and make our arm lock up. And he's like, "Let me show you a trick." We'd run over. We'd love it when Grandpa would beat us up. It was so fun. But this chair totally reminds me of the chair that he would sit back and smoke his pipe in and throw 5 and 8-year-olds around in wrist locks. It was so funny. Oh God, I love my grandpa so much. He was so cool. He was so cool. He never said no. He was always like, "You sure you want to do that?" And like that age of I've seen some shit, like that stance of I've seen some shit. You should pay attention right now. Would always make us pause. And be like jumping off the deck into the swimming pool or something like that. It's like, you sure you want to do that? It's like, no. It's like, well, maybe you should do something different. Like, okay. And, you know, and we would not jump off the deck into the swimming pool. God, I love that man. Such a blessed childhood. This doesn't feel like the right energy. This is more like what I want the chair to be, but the energy isn't there. Bring the energy down. Maybe it's too squinched. Wow. That feels right. I like the bulk on this guy. That feels good. I'm gonna set those aside for a minute and let's just flesh out this dude. Let's drop this chair into a separate layer. I have a problem with the word layer. It sounds like lair, L-A-I-R. I blame Missouri. Barely know how to speak. Definitely don't need to draw. I mean, sometimes people don't draw a feat because they don't know how to draw a feat, but in this instance, I honestly think I don't need feet. Like, legitimately. Huh. I know how to draw feet. Don't challenge me. That kind of feels good. That is starting to actually feel pretty good. Get his armor going there. Some tribal shit. This guy would definitely be in charge of a scorpion. When we actually publish this thing, I get to do tangential work like create the mammoth which is a huge elephant themed shocker, right? Elephant themed, like it's like a 100 ton, it's like a 500-foot ship. It's huge, but it's a Skrull carrier ship that you basically clip on 100 Goblin Blade fighter craft to do a swarm combat. And then there's the Elven Armada is a massive butterfly. It's also a 500-foot ship that has 100 flitter craft clipped to it. So you got that classic orc versus elf space fleet from 2nd edition. I am looking forward to crafting that and then maybe building like a thing out of it. Wider grip. I need a wider grip here. Keep that energy going. Still got that lean going back there. I think that's important. Keep your head on, buddy. Yeah. We're on our last 20-minute stretch. I'm happy with this. I'm really, really happy with this. Just the overall gist of it. It's gonna end up vibing. It's gonna do good. I can feel it. I can smell the energy on it. I like my Skrull Armadas to be real tribal. Like having spirit shamans as pilots for the Skrull Navy. It's like the Eagle Totem is a good example. Like you have like your magical ability as a barbarian is you have you can see up to a mile away. That's really useful for space combat. They make really, really good pilots. Totem barbarians, freaking fantastic pilots. Now we're starting to get some muscle on this guy. I think this is going to work out. Pull this in a bit. I think this is going to work out. You give him a feather motif here. Oh my fucking god, I love it. Yes, this guy is dope. There we go. We found it. You do like a feather themed helm. Oh, Jesus, that's dope. This is gonna be sick. Holy crap. You might not be able to see it yet. I can see it. Now I just have to carve it out of my mind onto the page. But yeah, that eagle totem idea is just fucking Eagle Clan. So dope. Yeah, having a barbarian on your front page for spelljamming is a great way to really lean into the focus instead of attunement and spellcasting idea. Oof, good, I'm in love with that. But I think it's only 7:30. I think this is probably I honestly feel like this is a place I should stop. A really good rule is to stop when you're excited. If you can't finish the job where you're at, stop at a place where you're really excited to start. So I think I'm honestly going to cut stream here a little early today. And if folks want to see this thing finish up, you're just going to have to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and check back in with me tomorrow because we do this 5 days a week, Monday through Friday in the mornings. We do Eberron cartography on Monday and Thursday evenings. We do commission work on Saturdays, and on Tuesdays we do game mechanic development for 5e supplements. So I think, God, this is great. I am pretty happy with this. So I'm going to leave this sit here. We're going to come back and we're going to come back tomorrow morning and come attack this some more. So this is awesome. Thanks, Nitro, for the inspiration because, God, what a fun place to end up at. I'm excited. I am legitimately excited about this piece. I'm going to cut out of here now, and I'm going to be back tomorrow morning. So hope to catch some of you guys then. Thanks a lot.